All right. I'm never good with opening statements, but I mean, I can tell you this: I'm always excited to get the season going. But I think when you look at our home schedule and what we have this year, um, and then the group of kids that you have coming back that we're kind of sitting and waiting, and then the group of kids that have been able to compete for us, if you're not excited for UNI wrestling right now, something's wrong. I know that I am, and I know what I've seen in the room this spring and summer, and not just not just the Dylan Peters, not just the Cooper Moores, not just the Max Thompsons, but the other guys and how they're progressing too. I mean, that's what excites me as a coach, and seeing these guys grow and develop in the last 6 months has been really exciting. I think it's the biggest growth spurt we've had as a group since I've been here, and a lot has to do with the group of kids that you have in the room right now and the standard that they're setting for themselves on and off the mat. There was no doubt that the freshman group that we brought in last year is a special group, and I think we knew that coming in. And they've raised everyone's level and expectations, and I think they've got everyone really kind of on fire right now and excited and looking forward to the season. And then trying to temper that with, hey man, today's the day and we got to continue to get better, and not getting too caught up into looking forward to what competition, but how much growth we can have from now to the end of the season, because that's really what we're looking for. And we're just looking for continued growth and to look at whatever obstacles coming our way. And we had some last year. You got a guy like Dylan Peters. He tears his ACL in December. He used that obstacle as a way to motivate him. And now for him this year, he's going to be in such a better place because he knows what he can handle. He placed. You say on one leg, but he did place on one leg. It's hard to wrestle that way when you're hurt. But I can tell you what, he made up his mind right away. And to me, that's very indicative of our team and how we're going to move forward from having any type of setbacks. I mean, that's how we're going to look at them. Every setback's an opportunity, and he epitomized that. And he's going to be stronger this year. Everyone's kind of asking, where's Dylan Peters at? Where's Dylan Peters at? He's back on the mat. We're working him into it. But the great thing is we don't just have Dylan Peters. You just start looking up and down our lineup, and I'm going to leave some guys out, but someone's going to have to step up for a while for him. And you got a guy like Tanner Roeder or a guy like Jay Schwarm who are ready to do that. And they're both chomping at the bit because I want to be the guy that steps out there, and I want to be the guy that takes Peter's spot and don't give it back to him. I mean, that's kind of how we're talking to those guys. A guy like Elberback. And did he have the season he wanted last year? 100% no. But he learned a lot. And we kind of talk about those obstacles in getting weight control, going through a whole season as opportunities and learning from him, and he's done it. He's a lot better wrestler right now. Kothi tore his ACL last year, another obstacle, but he's going to be better. He's going to be better for that. He's back healthy and been wrestling. Him and Hodges are going to scrap and battle. 49, I think everyone's excited to see Max Thompson get out there and compete. I know I am, and I know he is too. But then you get a guy like Hunter Washburn who, talk about those guys that are behind maybe the front guy that are pushing him. He's one of those guys, and he's made a huge jump in the last year. 57, and I'm kind of going into where we got some depth now. I don't think I've ever had this much depth on our team. And sometimes depth takes time. I want to have depth the first year, but to be able to have depth the first year, not always realistic. But now we have quality depth. We have guys that can wrestle and compete at a high level. And if something happens where there is a stumble, somebody gets hurt, there's a big drop off. This guy, he can step in and he can perform at a really high level, and he expects to perform at a really high level. So 57, Stuyerton and Peyton Moore are going to battle, and that's great because I don't think I've had where you can have those two guys like that. 65, Cooper's healthy, and he looks really good. Knock on wood. We got to keep him there. 74, a guy like Lujan, he's going to be really fun to watch. He's going to be a fan favorite, and I keep saying that, but just in how he competes, in how he's kind of reckless in a way, but reckless that you're just going to have to keep your eyes on him the whole time, and reckless in a way that the guys, when they get done wrestling with him, they're going to be, man, I don't know if I want to wrestle that guy again. 84, you got Foster and Hochschlag, two young guys who compete really well. Foster got so much better throughout the year, and getting that opportunity to compete in our conference tournament was a big thing for him, and he just keeps growing. But you got a battle there, and then Hoffman and Bartel, you got a battle at 97, and we got our transfer in J.J. Eberhard, And then there's a lot of guys I'm leaving off the list, but they're all pushing those guys to make them better. And you start talking about that lineup, and what gets me more excited, I guess anything, is I'm not talking about our lineup. The guys on our team are talking about our lineup. They're talking about it amongst themselves. They're talking about it when they're out talking with people. And remember, we have a big homecoming event, and Albert got up and he was the first guy to talk. And all he talked about is, I can't wait to see Dylan Peters wrestle. I can't wait to see Jake Coker. I can't wait to see, wait to see my teammates go out there and compete. And that's what excites me the most, is that guys are excited to compete. And, we're not far off from getting out there, but also the growth that they've made as a group. I'm just telling you, I haven't seen that much growth since I've been here. So that's exciting for me as a coach, and hopefully it's exciting for any fans out there too, and exciting for you guys who are going to cover us, to see this guys and how much better they get throughout. You see some of these guys, how much better they get throughout this year, because it's going to be fun. I'm always looking forward to it. I mean, I can go the old cliches, but excited just to see how these guys perform, because what I see in the room is really good, but now we got to carry that over to competition. And then whenever something bad happens, because something bad's going to happen, it's just part of the sport. How do they handle that? How do they move forward? Do they get better from it? And I can guarantee you they'll get better from it, because we have some guys in the past that have been able to do that. A guy like Peters, he was able to do it, and now our other guys can do that too. So, I don't know. Any questions?
What spurred on that growth? Since he made such a big jump, what was at the heart of?
I think a young group of guys who are hungry and they're very committed. If you saw how much some of these guys changed in the last year, and I've talked to a few of the guys, you remember where you were at a year ago? Like I've talked to a few guys in the last couple of weeks. Like, do you remember where you were a year ago, and how much growth you made? And they're like, you kind of see their eyes light up and like, oh yeah, man, I wasn't sure how good I was going to be if I could. And now what they've done is they've consistency over time. And that's what we talk about all the time. There's got to be consistency over time. It can't just be like, one is making a decision. You burn the bridges. Decision that I'm sticking with this program. I'm believing in myself. I'm going to keep moving forward. And the other one is that I'm going to do it daily and make that decision. Because, man, you guys have all been around college wrestling enough to know how hard it is and how tough it is and how grinding it can be, and how there's going to be some letdowns, and there's really no big pot of gold at the end of it. It just teaches you a lot of life lessons and a lot of lifetime habits that hopefully you carry over with you. But I just think those guys setting a really high standard. If you saw what they did all summer, lifting and working, and some of these guys, I bet you they were looking forward to school, because some of them were getting up early in the morning, they're lifting, they're working all day, and then they're doing something else to get themselves better. So, really, and that's where it's got to be led from. It can't be fueled from me. It's got to be fueled from the team, and it's been fueled from those guys. And now they're just raising their level, and it's just going out there and beating a really good guy. And then once they beat a really good guy, then that first domino falls and they all start to fall.
Last year, preseason, you guys had 3 ranked wrestlers in the MAC poll. This year you have 6. Are there higher expectations going into the season than last year?
Every year the expectations are high. It's to get the most out of your guys. We can go back to the last couple of years. Have we performed like we wanted to? 100% no. We haven't. But I can tell you, and I've said this before, that those last couple of years have made me as a coach. They've made me a better coach, because I have to really do a real deep evaluation of the program as a whole. And does that mean you're panicked and you change a bunch of things? No, but it means, hey man, we really got to dig down deep and figure out, what we doing? Is it developing guys? Are they getting better? Our retention rate's been great. We've had guys that have stuck through the program, but how much better have they gotten? And last year was the first guys that I've had 5 years. I've had 5 years. I've recruited them. They were on campus, and you start to see some things that maybe wear on them, and then you start to make those adjustments on the front end. So on the back end, our 4th and 5th year are our best years, instead of, I see it in college wrestling right now. Guys 4th and 5th year, they're like looking at their watch, man. I'm ready to get out of here and be done. I want their 4th and 5th year to be their best years, their most exciting years, not their first 1 and 2 years. I want that dream to stay alive, and I want them when they're 4th and 5th year and they're about to be done out of here, they're still excited about the sport and growing in it. And if we can do that, then I think we'll get the absolute most out of our guys. So expectations are always the same. It is to get the absolute most out of our athletes, to get them to wrestle and perform hard for 7 minutes, is to get them to do the right things on and off the mat. That never changes. And I believe in my guys 100%. I believe that every one of these guys, whoever steps out there, they're going to win every time, whoever they're facing. And that'll never change. If it does, then I'll be done coaching.
Does this team have enough firepower to produce another top 10 finish?
We haven't had one yet, so yeah. I'm not going to set any limits on these guys, and they're not going to set any limits on themselves. I'm not getting into prognosticating. Well, and we were just talking about rankings. And you see Flo, they start putting guys, and this guy's going to be an All-American, this guy's going to be an All-American, and the great thing is our guys get to decide that. Do I think that we can have the best lineup that we've had since I've been here? 100%. There's no doubt that up and down the lineup of who you send out there and how they're going to compete, it can absolutely, without a doubt, be the best lineup that we've set out there. You can start looking at the names. You can start looking at the names and how they compete. And to me, I'm more concerned with how they're going to compete, because when you start having a reputation that precedes you as a competitor, you win a lot of matches before that, because guys all they're trying to do is hold you off. That's all they're trying to do to survive. And you want to get the program to that point where all the guys trying to do is survive against you. And they're thinking about ways that how can I keep this thing close? And I've been around programs that have got to that. I've been around guys that have competed like that. And we have guys in our room right now that can compete like that and do it. They haven't decided, or they're not sure because they haven't beat someone that everyone else deems as being, one of the best guys. But I know what I feel and I know what I see. And we have some of the best guys in the country in this room. We have a whole mess of them. And once they start really understanding it and they prove it out in the West Gym or in the Southern Scuffle or at Iowa State or wherever we go, or St. Louis, then they'll really know. But I think every competitor's been there, though. You do the work, and man, you know you're right there, but you need kind of that last domino to fall. I know I was there as a competitor. I can remember a couple matches that it made the difference. And these guys just got to get that one to fall, because the work's been done. It's all set up. Now it's just going out and performing.
End of last year, you talked about Cooper Moore having to refocus and just get back to what he's good at. You said he's healthy. Do you feel like he's done what he needs to do in the offseason just to have his mind right, let alone the
yeah,
injuries?
no doubt, 100%. And that's where you get to know your athletes. You get to know them well. You build a relationship with them. And some guys, they need to press more, and some guys, the best thing is you get away. Get away as long as possible. Get healthy. Get excited about the sport. Because, man, if you're not excited about it, if you're dreading coming in here, it's hard. It's too hard. It's too hard to get anything out of you and to perform like you're capable of. And I know he'll never make an excuse, but he tore a ligament in his elbow early in last year. He got a concussion at Midlands. He was ready to win Midlands. He got a concussion at Midlands. Got sick. Hurt his ankle in a match that he won against Iowa State. It was just one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. It just kind of, he'd get up and that, I think it just got to him. It got to him, and we worked hard to get him to recover, but he needed more time than a week or 2 weeks. He needed a big chunk of time, and he got that chunk of time, and he does look great. But that's just in the room. But he's excited about the sport, and he feels good about where he's at, and that's where we want to keep him. So if that means maybe he sets out a duel or he doesn't go to this tournament at the end, then that's what we'll do, because we want the best Cooper Moore possible in March.
You go back and look at that ridiculous slew of injuries last year.
Yeah.
You chalk them up as bad luck, or is there anything you've learned from those that can prevent it going forward?
I think, a couple guys get hurt in competition. I don't know how to control that better. I know that in the room we can control things. We can control training. We can see when guys are getting more down. And I kind of go back to the 5-year cycle. I'm looking at a guy now, instead of looking at him in just this year. All we're worried about is this year. I'm thinking about how can we talk about from 5 years from now. So being longer term in our thinking, because you can grind a guy down, but when you grind a guy down, 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 and then it gets really hard for them to get back up, or something else happens. So trying to balance that, where we are going to work really hard. There's going to be a standard and precedent we set when we train, but maybe it's less. And maybe we do it a lot smarter. So we've done a lot more. We're doing a lot more skill work, a lot more sparring. We still scrap, but it's getting where it's less and less, so we can find that right balance. So I think you take inventory for me. I'm looking more long range now, and not just like right now, today and next week. It's like, okay, we're thinking about having these guys really excited about the sport 4 and 5 years from now. And part of that's going to be they're going to find ways to continue to get back to their teammates. You know, that's a huge way to do it, and they just kind of a whole process and program. Some may be bad luck, but I think that on me, I try not to be like, well, this, I try to figure out what can I do, what can we do about it to help prevent that. So still part of the strength training that we've done, we're going to do strength training throughout the whole year. We haven't done it to the level that we've done it so far, that we are going to do this year. So I think that can help prevent a lot of things. So we're doing a lot of preventive things. That what can we do on our end? Not, well, that was just bad luck. Well, after a couple of years, it's not. It starts to become a trend. Then you got to start figuring things out. So we're definitely making adjustments.
What will it take for Max or anybody to be the guy? Max coming in, what's the expectation for him coming in? There's a lot of expectations from what he did previously, but how does he handle those? How does he move forward?
I think for him just being able to relax and go compete. We really worked on him not getting too uptight, and he's done the work. I mean, the work's been done. I mean, that guy's worked his tail off, and he's worked his tail off since he was a little kid. So now it's just kind of, let's enjoy this process a little bit. Let's actually enjoy going out and competing and not have the stress of the world weighed on you. And that's something that you have to work on. And we get back in the first competition and maybe something happens. We just got to continue to have reminders for these guys. But I've been seeing the things that we've been working on and talking about, wanting them to do in the room. They've been happening. The other day you got cradle and pin, got taken down. And a lot of times that would be, he starts to kind of lose focus and he's all over the place. He wants to kill a guy instead of, okay, I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to go back. Where am I really good? And those type of things take a little bit of time. It's not like a snap of the finger, because there's some well-worn paths there. There's some things some habits that you have to really work on guys being aware of, and then reminding them when they get in that spot. So I know that he's done the work. I know what I feel. The guy's good. He's really good, and he's gotten a lot better. I'd say the last 2 months, he's really made a significant jump.
The Cliff King, Las Vegas Invitational, Midlands come off the schedule, Southern Scuffle. Talk a little bit about how the schedule, how you develop that, why?
I think our schedules, for me, kind of how you see how it flows. Having a lot of early season at home, having some in January, having some in February, being able to go to the Scuffle, just want to try it. When I first made that, Penn State was going to be there. They're not there now, but you still got Oklahoma State. You still have a great time. And I know some people look at, well, it's only a couple days later, but a couple days later when you're coming back from Christmas also. You come back to 26, and we just take that for granted, like that's what we do. It's wrestling. But I like how they really run the tournament. And we may go back to Midlands next year, and maybe the Southern Scuffle for the rest of the time. But I looked at kind of our schedule. We don't travel as much this year. Farther away. On the other years we travel a little bit more because we have to go out to Virginia. We go out to Buffalo. And it gives us a little bit more of a break time. We have a couple Big Ten teams on the schedule. We have a couple Big 12 teams on the schedule. And always trying to work through that and get teams on the schedule. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There's some other teams that we would certainly really like to get on the schedule. There's another in-state team that we'd really like to get on the schedule. It'd be good. It's time. I think we haven't wrestled in 5 years, so I think it's time. I think some things need to be put aside and let's wrestle. Come on, And maybe this isn't the place to do it, but you know what? It is time now. It's time for us to get back where we wrestle each other. It's crazy that Iowa and Iowa State and you and I we don't all wrestle each other. I think that's crazy. We should all wrestle each other every year. It's too important, man. We're wrestling is the center of the universe. Wrestling is in the center of the universe of wrestling is the state of Iowa. So to have 2 state teams that don't, I think it's time. It's enough. It's time for us to wrestle again. Get back on the schedule.
What needs to happen to have it occur?
Probably this isn't the place, but I'm a little late. It's a little late now. I think just, hey, we got to find dates, and I know Big Ten, they make them have nine home or 9 dates in the Big Ten, so you only have 7 dates left. I know they want to wrestle Oklahoma State and some of those teams, and sometimes it does make it hard. But I really think that we can figure out a way to get it done. So hopefully it happens. If not, it doesn't. I mean, it's not going to change us. We're still going to move forward. We're still going to have our program. We're still going to keep trying to get better. But I think it's too important for me, the state of Iowa, to have that happen.
You talked about how Dylan approached that obstacle last season, in season. What's it been like in the off season preparing for this year?
It's just time. I mean, to get that thing to repair, it's a 6-month deal. So, doing some mental work, doing some other things because you can still get better. There's a lot of ways to get better. I know everyone thinks it's just physical. That's all I can do. I can pound, I can lift weights, I can do this and that. But I mean, a lot of it's just being able to be able to focus our thoughts and be able to stay clear when chaos is around us. And that's a tough thing. But he was able to do that, because if anyone's ever competed injured, I mean, it's a hard not to have in the back of your head the whole time. The whole time you're thinking about, how can I favor this? What can I do? And it hurt him and bothered him a lot more than I think he ever told us. But when you're able to put that aside and really focus in, you understand what you're capable of. And I think he truly understands that I'm one of the best guys. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure I'm close, but I'm not sure if I'm the best guy. And I think there's no doubt now that he knows that he is one of the best guys in the country at 125. And I know there's some other good guys there, but having him healthy and feel good. I mean, I think for him having 6 months off, I don't think it's a bad thing. He's never had 6 months off probably since he was 5 years old. Because he's competed all the way through. So for a guy to get and kind of have that taken away, I don't think it's always bad, because man, it wasn't there. He could always kind of go back into it, and now he didn't have that choice. Now he can go back into it, and he can be really excited for his senior season. And knowing that you can do that when you're injured just proves how tough you are mentally. So I think anything, when any little nick comes now, big deal. This sore a little bit, and so what? My ACL was torn last time. Big deal.
What do you think your other guys gained from seeing that?
I think when you make your mind up that you can do something, you can do it. And that's what I'm telling you. I can remember sitting. We sat and talked, and hey, we got this MRI result back. Your ACL's torn. And I remember talking. I said, Dylan, it's either you're going with it, or we're getting surgery. And he's like, I'm going with it. And you could tell he made up his mind right there. And that's a powerful thing. You make a decision, and you don't look back and kind of burn the bridges, so to speak. I mean, that's what we talk about doing, and that's what he did. And there's nothing else that's going to get in the way of that. It just won't happen. And that's not easy to do, because can I do it? Can I not do it? He just decided, and we gave him plenty of time to get back into it. But I don't know if you guys remember that Iowa State match. I mean, that was a gutty performance. He got behind, and he was able to get a score, and able to get another score. And then, he lifted him up and put him down about 5 or 6 times. I mean, that was gutty, because he tweaked his knee, and then the next day, I'm like, you know what, you don't have to wrestle, Dylan. I'm wrestling. So, that's the type of kid he is. But for our other guys, it just proves, man, that, because we talk about it all the time. We talk about it constantly. Like, you don't have to feel perfect. And you get to the national tournament, if you feel perfect, and good for you, that's awesome, because most guys don't. And they're not going to feel very good, but what they can still compete with and what they can overcome is incredible when you set your mind to it. So instead of us having a guy like we talk, I did this, you got a guy that was right beside you. That's your peer. That's your teammate, and he did it. So I know you can do it too.
You talked about the depth of this team, best you've had. 11 days till competition. You guys are now going to the Grandview Open. Will that serve as a wrestle-off for you guys?
Yeah, definitely just kind of set our lineup to start the season. We've done wrestle-offs before, but wrestle-offs are, I think no one enjoys wrestle-offs. I know I don't. I mean, you can't cheer. You're watching. A lot of guys know each other pretty well, and I want to see how guys compete anyway. We started our season a week earlier too. We usually start the next week, but with kind of how our schedule worked out, we wanted to go a week earlier. So we're a week earlier than we would have been, and we've done it before. I think it'll be good. Be good for those guys to get tested and get multiple matches in, and wrestling somebody else and wrestling a teammate can be a lot different too. So yeah, that'll definitely set our lineup to start the season.
Any other questions for Coach?
Holschlag and Hoffman, 84, that you plan to wrestle off, or is there anybody else at that lineup that can test for that spot?
Foster, they've all grown. You know, the good thing is between 84 and 97, you know, we're gonna have to mix and match a little bit, you know, just in case something happens. Bartel is pretty healthy right now. He looks good, but you know, you can't only have one deep. You know, you gotta have another guy in there just in case. You know, so Hoffman's definitely he's the bigger one out of that group. So you know, kind of look at him and Bartel look at 97, and then Hoschlag and Foster 84, and they both built themselves up where they're, you know, they got up in the 90s this summer. You know, they're not like I'm just weighing 84. They're both sturdy and they look good at that weight.
Last season, all the buzz was the possible of starting a freshman, a true freshman,
Yeah.
which you ended up doing. Is there anybody this year that sticks out to you that could be a Bryce Dyer?
Well, we don't have to. You know, we got, you know, if you look at some of the guys we brought in and you talk about Isley, we got JJ there, so we can give him that year. And we don't have anybody that's really chomping at the bit to be the guy. Bryce was dead set really when he came in. I want to wrestle. I want to wrestle. I'm ready to wrestle, and I want to wrestle. So that's different than pushing a guy to do it. And if we get to that point, you know, great. I don't see it happening this year. I think where our depth is and where our guys are, I think we're going to be able to give them that redshirt year, which I think for most guys it is really important. You know, but I certainly can tell you in the future that we're gonna look at it every year now. It's not like just a blanket thing that, you know, this guy's gonna redshirt no matter what. I think for some guys it's probably better. I think it was better for Bryce to wrestle last year. You know, and I think for some of those other guys it was better for them to redshirt and get that year and get it under their belt, and you see the growth that they had. So I don't see anyone, not this year.
Everybody good?